All right, welcome to part two. Please really watch part one and notice what I mentioned about the minor details and how they're very important to understand each other's view. Those that are teaching their view don't even understand their own view, unfortunately. And so we should seek for understanding, and I'll point that out, and hopefully you'll stick with me and see what I mean. And ye shall say unto the good man of the house, the master say unto you, where is the guest chamber where I shall eat the Passover with my disciples? And he shall show unto you a large upper room, furnished there, make ready. And they went and found as he said unto them, and made ready the Passover. So he says he's going to eat the Passover, and he says make ready the Passover. This happens on event A, is said during the daytime. These words are said during the daytime. Then we have event B, and in the evening he cometh with the 12, and as they sat did eat, Jesus said, verily I say unto you, one of you which eateth with me shall betray me. Then event C, during the daytime, we have the crucifixion. So this is history. This can't be changed. However, understanding how to understand the scriptures can be changed. And I'm going to show some things that you've never ever seen before because the details are lacking in all presentations. And so these colorings are very important for understanding to be fair to your own view. So, whatever that may be. Just like it's important down here on the bottom scriptures. So, let's seek some understanding. So, most Sunset believers ask that we believe Christ was crucified on Abib 14th. So this is how you would label this day 2, a 24-hour period from sunset to sunset, Abib 14th. And then Abib 13th would be the day before sunset. Then the Break of Dawn believers would label this day Abib 15th. Therefore, this day would be Abib 14th. See, we label the days a little differently. Therefore, our understanding of scriptures is a little different. We believe the order of the events is the same. How we define or understand scripture is different. So now let's look at some more understanding. It says, moreover, Josiah kept a Passover to the Lord in Jerusalem. They killed the Passover on the 14th day of the first month. So most would say that he, or in the past, or during this Passover, any time from when Passover was instituted, all these years, that it was killed between the evenings, meaning in between 3 and 6, roughly, in that time frame. So if that was the scenario, then these would have been done on the 13th. Okay, so they're trying to propose and backwards figure that since Christ had to be killed on the 14th, then it only makes sense that the lamb was killed in between 3 and 6. So they take this idea and then imply it backwards to the original Passovers and all the Passovers before. Now the bottom individual, since they're presented with this person's view, would say, well, this can't be right, and Abib 13th doesn't make sense that this would have been said and the lamb would have been killed. The problem is those defending this view don't understand their own view, and I'll show you why I say that. And I'm going to just bring understanding to their own view and clear up some things for them. So they kept the Passover on the 14th, they ate it. So there's no issue there, no issue. But we're having issue here. So let's seek for some more understanding. Maybe they just don't understand what all the scriptures say. So let's look and try to gain understanding of their view, and don't just say, aha, we got you. Let's really get into the details and try to explain their view, maybe in a way they've never even seen before. So, but a place which the Lord thy God shall choose to place his name, and there shall sacrifice the Passover at even at the going down of the sun, at the season thou camest forth out of Egypt. So then, when we look at that and understand that it's killed at the going down of the sun, then this period, this detailed period that I mentioned in the first video, would now be on Abib 14th, not on Abib 13, because it's not between 3 and 6. It's after the sun went down, and Abib 14th starts then at sunset. So when you look at all these graphs and stuff, they leave out that minor detail, giving them the opportunity. And so they're presenting their view to someone else, but they're presenting their own view wrong. So then the individual has the opposite view, doesn't even agree. But now that we're getting understanding, maybe we're wrong. Maybe the break of dawn doesn't make sense. So now they ate or kept the Passover on the 14th properly. And then they said this, make ready the Passover, but they killed it after sunset. So now this would all be on Abib 14th. This matches the scripture that we saw earlier, that they kept the Passover on the 14th, they killed the Passover. So now you've been presented a view that's never been shown before, because that minor detail and the charts don't get into those details. Now, I would argue that if we look a little closer and dig even deeper and look at some more scripture, Abib 14th Passover still, Abib 15th, nothing's changed, just adding the word Passover in here and down here. Look at another scripture. And it departed from the Ramses in the first month on the 15th day of the first month on the morrow after the Passover. The children went out in the high hand in the sight of the Egyptians. So now they left over here on the 15th. Now I would argue that that would have allowed more time for the leaven to rise. And so I would argue that that view doesn't make sense. However, to be fair, there is opportunity to explain scriptures that could work, and there's no direct scriptures that would negate that view. Now, we have to think, that they had time for the, they didn't hurry out of here on the original Passover in the morning. And so there isn't any clear scripture, so there is opportunity for the sunset view to be correct. Now, the other view, on the bottom, event A happens during the daytime, event B happens during the night, and then event C, the crucifixion, happens on Abib 15th. And then their counter would be, well, if Christ was crucified on the 15th, he wouldn't be our Passover. So that's a legit argument too. So now we need to dig in even further to scripture and the timeline in this view and see who's right. So now there's something on the table for each of us, but we've dug into the scriptures even deeper and more understanding. So let's continue this story in part 3.